Okay, I'm going to start with something that might sound a little harsh, but trust me on this. Nobody is thinking about you right now. I know. But if you stick with me, you'll see that understanding this one little thing, well, it might just be the most freeing idea you hear all day.
You know that feeling, right? We've all been there. You walk into a room and suddenly it feels like every single eyeball is locked onto you, tracking your every move, judging every little thing you do. It's such a common human feeling, but it turns out it's also a massive overestimation.
So let's give this sensation a name. We can call it that spotlight feeling. It's that super intense and honestly pretty uncomfortable feeling that you're under this constant microscope, especially when you think you've messed up.
And it almost always starts with something tiny. You're grabbing your coffee and a little bit dribbles right down the front of your shirt. To you, that stain isn't just a stain. Oh no, it's a giant blinking neon sign telling the whole world how clumsy you are.
Or, maybe it's not something people can see. Maybe you said something kind of weird in a meeting, or told a joke that didn't quite land. And for the rest of the day, you're just stuck in this loop, replaying that one sentence over and over. Did that sound stupid? Oh, why did I say that? I should have just kept my mouth shut.
And in our digital world, oh man, this feeling gets turned up to 11. You hit send on an email or post something online, and the second guessing starts immediately. You're rereading it for the 10th time, hunting for typos, obsessing over how people are taking it, convinced that everyone you know is dissecting it word by word.
And this just nails it, doesn't it? It perfectly captures that feeling. It's not just that you feel noticed. You feel like you're the main attraction. In the movie playing in our heads, we're the star, and there's this big, harsh spotlight following our every move, highlighting every single flaw.
But what if that spotlight isn't real? What if it's just a trick of the light that our own brain is creating? Let's flip this around and look at what's actually going on. The reality is pretty surprising.
This right here is the big reveal. Look at the difference. On one side, you have what you imagine is happening, a whole world of critics totally focused on your mistake. But then you look at the reality, and it's a completely different story. The truth is, everyone else is just as wrapped up in their own world as you are in yours. They're the stars of their own movies.
So what's on their mind? I'll tell you. The person you think is staring at your coffee stain, they're actually wondering if they have something in their teeth. The colleague you think is analyzing your comment, they're busy worrying about their own presentation. Everyone is just inside their own head, checking their own phone, living under their own imaginary spotlight.
So why do we do this to ourselves? Why are we so convinced that we're the center of attention? Well, here's the good news. It's not some personal flaw. It's actually a well-documented psychological thing, a very common, very human trick of the mind.
And here it is. The official term for this is the spotlight effect. Psychologists have studied this for years, and they've found again and again that we consistently and often dramatically overestimate how much other people notice us. We think the spotlight on us is massive, when in reality, it's barely even a flicker.
Okay, so knowing the science is one thing, but really letting it sink in, that's where the magic happens. This is the best part of this whole explainer, because this is where we talk about finding your freedom. Because when you truly, genuinely accept that the massive audience you've been performing for doesn't really exist, your whole world shifts. All that pressure you've been piling on yourself just starts to melt away.
This realization unlocks real, actual freedoms in your life. You get the freedom to speak up in that meeting and share your idea. The freedom to try that new hobby that you're probably going to be terrible at first. And maybe the most important one of all, you get the freedom to just be human. To be a little messy, a little imperfect, without that constant fear of judgment. So, next time you feel that heat, that familiar feeling of the spotlight turning on you, I want you to just take a breath. Look around and remember the truth, because that spotlight, the one that feels so incredibly real and so intense, it was never really there. The stage is empty. So, what are you going to do now that you're free?